welcome, Satasha. And thanks for being part of our Guin huddle. Um, you and I met about a year and a half ago when you started at Guin under the operations team, but have since grown to being a senior marketing manager now. But you also have been working in the music industry for quite some time and also co founded your own agency, Your Story, about 2 years ago. So, I guess to kick it off, can you share a bit about your journey into the music industry?
Yeah, for sure. You did your research. um, yeah, for sure. So I've always been into music. My family's very musical, and I started off as a singer songwriter. I got my first professional industry break when I was 21, I think. And I was flown out to Los Angeles by Interscope Records to work with Esther Dean. Just like a very short a trip just to kind of see how things were going. She saw one of the YouTube covers that I uploaded and she was interested in me. At that time, I think my singing style was like a little bit more unique, and so they liked it and they had me come out. From that trip, I actually made a really, really good friend. His name is Aubrey Delane. You know him as Juice. He engineers for Nicki now. And he convinced me to move out here or not out here because I'm not there anymore, out to LA. And I kind of started my professional journey there, going from singing and songwriting into management, and then eventually into more of an artist development thing. And now I'm here at Guin doing operations and music marketing.
Very nice. And what was your experience in management and what led you to kind of move from that into more operations and marketing?
So, I mean, I think for me, I just was always kind of trying to be resourceful, even from the very beginning, because one of the pieces of advice that Aubrey did give me was that if I wanted to make it in music, I needed to be able to wear many hats. And I started very simply taking internships at studios and learning the recording process, and even some of the business aspects of running a recording facility. Um, and and then working in management, I don't know, I've always had that personality where I was just I just want to dive into all these different types of projects and see what happens or what sticks. I'm very collaborative, so while I enjoyed doing my own stuff, I also enjoyed diving into other people's worlds and seeing what they had going on. So I in 2016 I got an opportunity to work with this actress. Her name is Lexi Atkins. She actually works in wellness now, but she kind of gave me an opportunity to run her projects that were related to music. She was working with Wilhelmina models, and then she was also getting roles in films and stuff, but she didn't have a lot of knowledge in music and she needed help. So I think that she was very new to music and she trusted me, so the artist development aspect of that came in and I worked in that. And I think that what led me to Gwen was kind of the whole aspect of I've worked with artists before and I understand what it's like to, do things from inception. So I don't know, it piqued my interest. As you know, Pierre recommended me, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. And what do you think has been one of the most challenging and I guess rewarding aspects of working in artist development?
Um, I mean, what's rewarding is when you're able to get an artist their first, whatever that first is, some type of win. So it's their first 1,000 streams or their first vinyl or, their first editorial playlist or their first big performance. I think that that's super rewarding. It's such an exciting thing um to see, because in order to be an artist, you got to be like a little bit delusional. And so I know that artists are used to seeing like it's almost like repetition, like, okay, I didn't get it, I didn't win, I didn't do it. And so when they finally do it, it's super rewarding, and I super enjoy that. um what's most challenging is when you don't get the wins. Because artists are just so sensitive, and I think that you sort of take on what they feel emotionally sometimes, or at least I know I do. So when there are losses, it can feel a little, it's just like it feels like a defeat almost. um and it's tough, and I'm right there with them when they're not in the best space. But this industry comes with challenges, so.
Right. No, that's definitely true. I feel like it's an added weight of the artist emotions that's separate from like the emotions of also not being able to kind of get your own wins. But I don't know, it's so random, I think, in the music industry, and in what you're able to kind of secure and not secure, whether it is playlisting or editorials and all that. But how have you seen like artist development evolve, like in your experience of working in the industry, especially now with streaming and social media?
I mean, it's really different from 2011 to now. Like, I think so. First of all, like when I was posting YouTube covers, like you could post something on the www. So you could post something, and like people would have the opportunity to see it, because like it wasn't as oversaturated as it is now. So like when Interscope saw my video, it only had 200 views on it. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
wow.
And that's pretty like that's not something that's
Like,
gonna
unheard
happen.
of that.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. And so I think that it's super challenging, because not only do artists have to be developed musically, but they also have to be somewhat trained to understand the digital atmosphere that we're in right now. And like I think the other day, and it like boiled my blood, because I saw this influencer post where she was just like, you can make $1,200 in passive income if you post like white noise. And I'm like, okay, so like you're literally saturating the market and like ruining it for these artists who make incredible music. I know a lot of artists who make incredible music who have under 100 plays on some of their songs. So I think that artist development is is uh is very, very complex now, because they're not just artists anymore, and you can't just specifically create. Like I know they have that whole term music industry plan, and I'm sure it exists like somewhere way above my tax bracket. But I really do feel that like you have to be made already, and you do a lot of that work on your own now. So like it's changed a lot. It's very challenging. I think it's very mentally taxing for artists, and you just have to be built different in order to like go through it. And I've worked with a lot of different artists, and most of them at the very emerging level, and some of them get social media and some of them don't. And I think that you know just trying to explain to them why this aspect of it is so important, and why if you don't do this, you're not going to succeed, um, or you're less likely to succeed, because there are those people who can. But I think that that's where artist development has like really changed, and trying to get through to artists in that way. And believe me, working and having all this experience on this side, even like just coming to Guin and really, really digging in and understanding like what it takes to gain visibility for your music, like I can sit and look at an artist and be like, okay, I understand you want to release this song in 3 hours that you just wrote, but that's not going to work. So
Right. Yeah. And I think that's always the hard conversation we need to have of like, even for artists who want to release it in a month, like, isn't enough time for us to kind of do our job. And also having those conversations about creating content for themselves. Cause I feel like being an artist now is also being an influencer, just showing who you are beyond being an artist, which is always a hard conversation because you can't just be an artist now. And I feel like a lot of the artists that we work with also feels like it kind of cheapens who they are as an artist because they create something so like beautiful and polished. But then we're like, maybe also show who you are outside of this and like create this kind of content to like really like show your audience who you are. But it's so hard now.
I get artists, like I 100% understand like their reservations. But it's all about like just finding your niche. Like what what really works for you? Like what can you genuinely show? Like how can you relate to this community? Like I get that, you know, you made a really great song and people, if they hear it, they'll really like it, but like what else? Like, how can you really captivate people? It's not just like post to TikTok X amount of times a week, post to Instagram X. It's about like what story are you telling and how can you make people care? So I think sometimes, and you know, like I teeter the line a little bit because I think sometimes it's in the language when like we're talking as a marketing team and we're like, well, you know, you need to do X, Y, and Z if you really want X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, they're not listening to that. You
Yeah.
have to really be able to like speak the language of an artist to get to cut through. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we're doing a pretty good job at that here. But I've seen it done a lot of different ways, and I do feel for artists.
Yeah. I agree. You definitely need to like learn their language and how to kind of get them on board. What have been some of your favorite projects that you've worked on or artists that you've worked with? And yeah,
So specifically here at Guin, all of them. Like, and I'm not trying to say that like to be corny or anything, but I really do love. So I've had three projects that I've led on, and I love all three for very different reasons. You know, I think LB was really exciting for me because I think he has so much charisma as a more developing artist, and he just has a special spark in him. And I enjoyed helping to elevate or advance whatever he was doing. Um, so that was special for me in that way. And I discovered that he's a wonderful performer. And I said, that's you. That's what you have to do. Like, you have to keep performing because that's how you're going to get your audience. Obviously, Curtis was super exciting for me because I feel like we got the opportunity to take something that he already built and then like spin it because he still had more that he wanted to achieve. And I think with the Bad Son album and being able to kind of like really tell his story beyond his single Stunnin' was really, really special. And I was able to develop that connection with his management, but also with him. And, you know, we like DM and talk and stuff. And
yeah,
just have like just nice conversation about like what we accomplished on this run. And then obviously Ash is very exciting for me. I love his music, and it's just very inspiring to be able to like build with him and his team and like create something special. So like all of them, I love them all.
yeah, great. I think of all like the Gwen artists, I appreciate how they're like good humans and they're just I don't know. I mean, obviously we have our challenges with certain campaigns, but I think like the core of every artist is I mean they're good humans, they're easy to work with, and I feel like at Gwen we're all kind of like a family, so we figure out the best ways to work with each other, which I appreciate. um, but something that I really respect about you and that I've gotten to witness firsthand while working together is how you balance being a full-time mom. And I think speaking personally, I've always wanted to be kind of a young mom, but I do have this fear of how it would work with, juggling work and being a very present mom. But I always call you a super mom because I feel like you always make it look so easy to balance both. And from what
So,
I witnessed, being very present on both sides of being a mom and working at Guin. So I guess how do you know, manage the balance between working in the music industry, which is already such a crazy industry and isn't like a typical 9 to 5 job, as well as being a parent, which also isn't the traditional 9 to 5 job.
um, so I guess the first thing I would say is that like this is my industry. Like I love music. I love the music industry, and I just can't see myself anywhere else because I just kind of built a life around this industry. So I think that it feels a little bit more natural for me because I kind of grew my family into what I was already doing, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to properly verbalize it, but like, I feel like you kind of get that.
Mhm.
Um, my first child, it was not planned. Like me and Brandon were just like, whoa, 27 years old. And I just still felt very young. And I wasn't very sure that this was, like a thing. I was like, whoa, I'm going to be a mom. But obviously my son came and I just like absolutely fell in love. And then it gave me all this like new meaning and it just this whole new purpose in life. So I just kind of like, I've always had the personality where I was just like, I'm just going to do it my way and I'm going to figure it out as I go along. Um, Now, joining Guin was definitely different because had a second child. You guys hired me when I was pregnant, which I was very surprised. I had consulted with several people, and I was just like, "Do I tell them that I'm pregnant, like that I'm expecting?" I feel like they won't give me the job, even though like they're like, "No, you can't do that. You're not allowed." But you're allowed to hire whoever you want. So I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm just gonna tell them because I just got pregnant. So I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah, I don't
and
remember how far along you were when we first met, but but yeah, I
I
did over,
wasn't.
and it was cool to like witness, the fact that you were pregnant, and then when you had Eli, and then like I feel like we've seen Eli like grow up,
You guys
especially over Zoom, and like when you would come in person and bring him to the studio sessions, like it's been a really cool thing to witness, I think, for all of us.
Yeah, well, so like you guys did hire me pregnant, and you guys were able to witness everything. It was challenging because I had that hyperemesis, and so like thank God my work hours start at 12 because like I'm just puking all day.
Oh,
And but like still working at the same time. I think that you guys were, I mean, obviously very I think you guys were like super forgiving and lenient of some things because I was just like, I don't know how many jobs would like allow you to just be camera off during certain times of the day or whatever. But like I don't know. I was just like, as long as I get my work done and it- I'm just gonna just keep rolling with it. Um so anyways, to your question, I heard this somewhere. I can't remember who shared it with me, but it was this whole theory on juggling glass balls and plastic balls. Did I share that with you?
no, I don't think so.
Okay, so this has never left me ever since I heard it, which I don't remember when I heard it, but like I heard it at some point in the past few years. So, this act of being a mother, but also having like your own life where you're working. I'm going to cross my legs. Sorry. You can't see it. I had to like sit in style. Having this whole thing where you're like working and you're a career woman or you have your own aspirations or hobbies, like you're juggling and you have kid balls and you have work balls, or you have family balls and you have work balls. And some of those balls are glass for family, and some of those balls are plastic for family. Same thing for work. Some are plastic and some are glass. So when you're juggling, um, a ball is going to fall. The trick is not to let the glass ones fall. A plastic one, whatever. So like then you determine what are your glass balls and what are your plastic balls. Me running late to pick up Easton from school is a plastic ball. Like 5 minutes, like that's a plastic. Me missing like his belt initiation or something important like that, that would be more of a glass ball. Um Same thing with work. Like get the marketing plan in today, it's the last day, that's a glass one. Answer this email at 10 p.m. at night, that's a plastic. And
Right.
so I think that that really kind of helped me understand what is important and what can wait, and how to kind of like weigh when I have to put my mom hat on and when I have to put my work hat on. Um, Nobody's perfect, but I think that that really has helped me a lot.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Some great advice, I guess, for everyone who ends up watching this as well. Um, so on the Gwen Huddle, we also ask an icebreaker question, which is essentially like a hot take. Um, but for you
I'm
today,
nervous.
what are some of the biggest challenges you faced as a working mom in the music industry?
What are some of the biggest challenges I've faced? Okay, so there's never a baby changing table at any of the places I go. I'm sorry to like say that as one of the biggest challenges, but it's terrible. Like I went to Soho House and like I had Eli with me and I went to the bathroom. I have to like change him holding him like this. And I'm just it's really small and like you would think that like that's not a big deal, but it like low key is. Like I was like,
Yeah.
why don't you guys have changing tables for people like me? Like, but you know how I'm like very sarcastic and I'm like, oh, I'm a mom now, I'm dead. Like forget about me. Like I don't exist anymore. I'm done. Um but no, seriously, I think challenges have been just like being able to like navigate and network in the music industry and keep up, but also like maintain my balance of like, this is my life. And like, by no means am I like, I mean, I think I'm fun. I think I'm still fun, but like, it's just not quite the same. Like, I'm not, as Gary would say, I'm not outside. So I really do have to come up with creative ways to keep myself in the forefront. Um, and I think a lot of mothers probably do. So I think that so that would be kind of like maybe the challenge. I hope that that answered the question.
No, I
But
don't.
what I will say is that on the opposite end, my life here, it's challenging to like kind of like have my life here and be a mom. I used to call it Hannah Montana. Like I'd be like, I gotta put my Hannah Montana wig on because like when I go out there and like not living in Los Angeles specifically, a lot of people are like, well, what do you do and how do you do it? And like, I think that there are some people who are more like open and receptive to like a different alternative lifestyle. But then other people are kind of like, I got them like, what am I wearing? Am I wearing the appropriate clothing to go pick my son up? Am I, you get what I'm saying?
Especially like since COVID times now, not everything's like remote and on Zoom. Like some people would like never even know that you're a mom or you have to like balance all of these things just because like I don't know if someone's seeing you just like this. I don't know, you just assume maybe you are in LA, maybe you're in Virginia. No one really knows, which I think is nice. Like even for myself living in the Bay Area, which isn't like the epicenter of music in the industry, but then going sometimes to LA for the big things that we do work on and meeting with the team. Um, I also kind of relate to the not fully being outside and having to balance, my family being here, now recently being married. How do I kind of balance work and kind of being present for my family? So it's definitely a challenge, I think, especially in the industry where it never sleeps and we're always getting slacks or emails from managers and waiting until like the music is perfectly uploaded.
My
And
favorite, my favorite is My favorite is, hey, I know you're probably asleep, but I love that
no,
message. I know you're probably asleep, but when you get a chance, can you over? Yeah, sure. I'll look at it. I'll look at it right now while I'm probably asleep.
Yeah. Do you have any advice that you would give to parents who are trying to make it in the music industry while raising a family?
I would say to take everything day by day and make your decisions based on your present moment and where you're at now. I think that sometimes people are really overly concerned about the future and like, concerned maybe about things that have happened in the past, but I feel like being present in the moment is what's most important. I know that this industry is very shaky. And so, like, a lot of people are like, well, if you're a mom, you want to have like a job that is like more consistent with your children's schedule or more stable or isn't like such a volatile industry. I think that you just do what you think is best at the moment in time and you'll figure the rest out. That's just how life is. That's how parenting is. That's how, that's just how it is. So that's what my advice would be. Just be right there, present in the moment, and like go with the flow.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the Gwen Huddle today.
You're welcome.